All right, happy Friday, my butterflies. It is me, of course, Coach V, the New Love Strategist, here with your weekly MIT training video, providing just a little bit of motivation, inspiration, and transformation, because that's what you all are in the process of at this moment. As you can see, we're going to talk about interpreting a man's behavior. That's what I've been talking about a lot this past week across all of my platforms. What I realize is a lot of you are not really confused. You're internalizing, okay? This is not about blaming men. It's about how you are processing a lot of what's happening in your dealings with men, right? While dating and relationships and things like that. And the issue when it comes to a lot of this is really you're taking a lot of a man's behavior and you're making it mean something about you. You're taking his actions, what he is or isn't doing, and you're internalizing it. And internalizing a man's behavior is what turns a simple situation into emotional chaos. So I want to help you stop doing that, because in so many ways it is actually sabotaging the relationship that you are making your way towards. So what does it mean to internalize? Ultimately, internalizing in dating is when you make his behavior personal. It is when you assign meaning to something a little too quickly. It's when you tie his actions to your worth. That is something that I used to do a lot of times. In dating and in relationships, I would pay attention to what a man was or wasn't doing, what he did or didn't say, all of these things that I hoped he would do, that I hoped he would become. I would think about all of the empty promises that a man would make, and I would hope that eventually, if he loved me enough, if he really saw me as being worthy, that he would stop doing those things, that he would, start doing the things that I was talking about wanting, whatever else the case might be. A man would pull back, and sometimes I would think that I did something wrong. If he would go slow a little bit, I would take it as, okay, maybe he's not interested. If he was inconsistent, it would lead to me questioning, why am I not enough? And it's crazy, because what I know is that a lot of you do the same thing. I know this, of course, from coaching and having conversations, and it's just something that a lot of women do. But what you need to realize is that internalizing things, really what it's doing is it just means that you are turning his actions into a reflection of you. Psychologically speaking, there are reasons why women tend to internalize. A lot of times it's past experiences. Again, if you've dealt with inconsistency in your upbringing when it comes to your childhood and different things like that, if you dealt with rejection, abandonment, whatever. If there are anxious attachment tendencies, if you have a desire for certainty, if you've really craved the emotional safety that you never really experienced, if you have a fear of wasting your time at all of those things lead to women internalizing. And at the end of the day, it's really just your nervous system that is at work. Your brain is trying to solve uncertainty quickly. So you're not necessarily reacting to a man's behavior. You're not reacting to him. You're not reacting to what it is that he does or doesn't do. You're reacting to what it is that it reminds you of. And there's a huge difference there. I will say that internalizing, it is a little bit costly. There is a price and cost that is associated with internalizing. For one, as I said, a lot of times it does sabotage relationships, right? Because when you have all of these things that you are processing and that you are confabulating, those things are going to pour out and bleed into the relationship. That is when you're going to now find yourself, there are going to be like more accusations. You're going to be scrutinizing everything. You're going to be taking everything personally. Men can feel that. Men can detect that, especially healthy men and qualified men. Like they can detect when that is going on. And a man who is in a much better place emotionally and mentally speaking, they're not going to want to put up with that. Men can tell when a woman has low self-esteem. Men can tell when a woman is not really sure of herself. A man can tell when a woman is insecure. And a man who is secure, whole, ready, godly, a lot of those men, they will walk away from that kind of woman. So you don't want to have yourself in a situation where you are sabotaging something that has the potential to be great and amazing, right? When you are overthinking everything, that is a cost, right? First of all, because that means it is costing you your peace. When you're constantly overthinking, overanalyzing, going out of your way to process something, it already is disrupting your peace. And it can also lead to you being a little bit emotionally unstable. So emotional instability is another cost. Reacting prematurely, it is another cost. Mislabeling men as being confusing or inconsistent, you could end up, again, as I said, the keyword mislabeling. So therefore that is a cost, because again, a secure, qualified man, he's not going to want to deal with that. You will end up attaching to situations too early. That is another cost. You will start solving problems that don't even exist yet. Again, it goes back to meaning therefore that you yourself are not truly at peace. Anything that is costing you your peace, it is not worth it. And you need to also identify, why are you allowing that thing to even be tied to your peace? Why are you allowing it to even reign in your life in any type of way? Okay? Interpretation versus internalization. Those are two different things. Let me break this down clearly, because internalizing, it is emotional, it is reactive. It is story-based. It is very self-focused, because you're looking at it more from the lens of what did I do? Interpreting is different, because interpreting is observational. Interpreting is grounded. Interpreting is pattern-based. Interpreting is also situation-focused, which is asking, what is it that this man is showing me? See, discernment asks what is being shown. Insecurity asks, what did I do? And when you are insecure, that is when you internalize things. When you are wise in using discernment, that is when you are paying attention and you are interpreting something accurately. At the end of the day, yes, you do want to pay attention to a man's behavior, his actions, what it is that he is or is not doing, right? But it's what you do with that information that matters more than anything. And you want to pay attention to what his behavior is actually showing you. You want to, or should I say, you have to learn how to read behavior, okay? A man who is consistent, that shows a level of interest and effort. A man who is inconsistent, that is showing lack of stability or alignment. That is okay. A man who is moving at a slow pace, that is his natural progression. Just watch if it's steady or if it's stagnant. There's nothing wrong with moving at a slow pace. I think the thing is, when you are, especially for those who have an anxious attachment style, when you are so ready to be in a relationship, right? And you go with the excitement and the chemistry and the flow of it all, you are used to a man showing you things early on, or at least you're used to a man pretending early on. You're used to all the things that he does in the beginning that leads to you having butterflies, making you feel as if this one is going to be different and all this other good stuff. So you're used to things going at a pretty quick pace, okay? I know that there are a lot of women, a lot of single Christian women who struggle when it comes to being or remaining abstinent. Women who struggle when it comes to purity, when it comes to sex. A lot of women, you know, their thing is like, hey, it's like I want to stop, but I know I keep having sex, and it's like I'll meet a guy. And so many women who have come to me broken because they felt bad for breaking that vow of abstinence more than once. And a lot of times it goes into the chemistry that a lot of times women feel, or at least think that they're experiencing, or mislabeling early on in a relationship. So it's like, okay, there's this great connection. We're on the same page. You know, things just kind of move quickly. Before you know it, you end up in bed doing some things that you will later on regret. So as time goes on, you start enforcing and creating these boundaries. You say you're going to do things differently. You end up meeting a man who truly does want to go slow. Because believe it or not, there are some men out there who are not about hopping in bed before marriage. There are men out there who are not about hopping in bed too early. There are some men who actually want to go slow because they not only respect you, but because they respect themselves, and they also want to honor God. And so many women, because they are used to things moving at such a quick pace, and because they are so used to men bringing up sex early, and, you know, texting all the time and being very consistent in a lot of their efforts. Here it is, if you come across a man who is actually going at his own natural progression, he's taking things a little bit slower than what you are used to, you will end up misreading that behavior, and you're going to take it as him just not being interested, when instead it is a healthy pace that we should be going and moving at. It's just something that you are not used to. So don't allow the slow pace and that the behavior of a man who's moving at a slow pace to make you dislabel or dismiss him, mislabel him, whatever else the case might be. Reading a man's behavior is going to be vital. Even withdrawal, right? If a man pulls back a little bit, it could be because he feels pressure. It could be capacity. It could be disinterest. That is okay. Either way, all of those things require observation, not assumption. This is where, again, discernment comes into play. The thing is, a lot of women talk about how men don't communicate, but guess what? Behavior is communication as well. You don't need to decode him. You just need to watch him. His behavior and his actions are going to communicate what it is that he's thinking and feeling and whatever else the case might be. It goes back to Proverbs 4:23. Guarding your heart. Above all else, guard your heart. For everything you do flows from it. Guarding your heart is not overthinking. It's not about assuming. It is about being intentional with what you allow yourself to attach to at the end of the day. When you internalize, you're not guarding, you're reacting. When you are internalizing what a man is doing or not doing, saying or not saying, all of these different things, that means that you're not guarding your heart. You are reacting based off emotions. Guarding your heart requires wisdom, not worry. So, practical shift, okay? I want to help you stop internalizing a man's behavior, all right? One would be pause before reacting. Man says something, does something, whatever else the case might be. Pause before you react. Take the time to ask yourself, what do I actually know? What are the facts here? I've actually done that a couple of times, and truth be told, even in my last relationship, because I knew that that relationship was really stretching me and growing me, and I was healing and all of these different things, right? And one of the things that I would oftentimes find myself doing was like, okay, let me just pause here. Let me figure out exactly what is it that I'm reacting to. What scenario or story have I made up in my head? I would allow myself to go down that rabbit hole and spiral a little bit. But then I had to go back to, okay, but what are the facts? What do you actually know to be true? And that would actually help get me a little bit grounded, okay? I would also say look for patterns, not moments. Moments, we can always internalize those. We can make it personal. We can make it about us. We can mislabel something. We can misread something. Moments don't matter. Think about a man's patterns over time. What has he consistently shown you? Is there something that you maybe try to make excuses for, that you try to justify? That's going to tell you what you need to know. Just simply give it time. I would tell you next, you want to ensure that you separate your worth from his behavior. It is called self-worth for a reason. His reaction or his actions, they reflect him, not you. And I know it can be so easy. I'll say like, okay, but if he loved me, if he truly loved me, then he would stop doing this, or he knows that this was something that I said that I really wanted, or this was something that meant a lot to me. And if I meant something to him, then he would do it. Like, we will, listen, just stop. Okay, I know married ladies who still do this. And again, it all ties back to the things that we did not work on, the inner work, right? The healing, the trauma, the abandonment wounds, and the attachment issues. So many things that we take into these relationships. And therefore, again, we tie our worth to a man's behavior and actions. You have to separate the two. It is your job and your job alone to believe what God said about you. It is your job alone to view yourself a certain way, to find yourself as worthy, and to value yourself. That is up to no one else but you, okay? Next, I would say stay present. Stop projecting into the future. Stay present right here in this moment. Continue to observe, look at the facts, and don't go jumping the gun, okay? Lastly, match energy. Don't exceed it. Just simply match a man's energy. So many women in this stage is like, oh, I don't really know what he's feeling. But because subconsciously they really want that man to see value and choose them, they will go an above and beyond. Relationships are supposed to be mutually beneficial, right? Yes, you want to think about the love languages and showing love and appreciation and whatever else. But some women go above and beyond when it comes to trying to prove to a man how amazing they are. Do not invest beyond what has actually been shown. So many women I come across, and right now they are at a point in their life where they are bitter because it's like, I've given so much to the wrong men, and I've poured out all of my life, given my heart, and it's like, but who told you to do that? Why did you do that? Why did you overgive, overextend? Why did you do all of those things? Especially for someone that you're saying was the wrong person. Like, did he show you anything at all for you to have done that much for him? Like, we're not doing that, okay? You're not trying to become cold, but you are becoming grounded. I'm not telling you to just shut it off and be rude and make a man prove himself. We're not doing any of that. We're too grown, okay? But I do want you to realize that you're not detaching, you are becoming aware. And grounded women do not internalize. They observe and they decide, right? They pay attention, and then they realize whether or not they need to pass, pause, or proceed with that person. If you're realizing that you internalize more than you thought, this is exactly why dating has felt confusing, okay? I'm here to help. My Relationship Reset Intensive, it'll help you to break down those patterns, look at a lot of how you interpret things, look at, are you actually internalizing things, and how you are interpreting a man's behavior. We're going to look at how you attach and why you respond the way that you do. This 90-minute session, it is a game changer for those who are just saying like, hey, I need a little bit of help. I know I need some type of reset. Point me in the right direction. That is the session that you want to book. And if you know that it's a little bit deeper for you, then coaching is where we will shift how you fully show up in relationships. And right now, I do have a few spaces available for those who are wanting one-on-one coaching. So that is something we can definitely chat about, okay? So let's make it happen. You don't have to keep reacting the same way and calling it confusion. It's all about the shift that you are ready to make. If you are willing to make it. All right. So let's chat when you are ready to do the work. We are going to make 2026 your year. This is the year of alignment, and I'm here to help you win at love by any means necessary. All right. Take care. Y'all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.